Back in 1977, on a day it looked a lot like this, little old me was in the house and it was raining. I ain't afraid to go outside and play in the rain, but today it was find the adventure in the house. And I've been flipping through comics and magazines for years. Anybody that's watched my videos heard me talk about my stepdad and my uncle had comic books, magazines, Conan, everything in the house. But on this day, it really grabbed me. It's when I became a collector, a real collector, and grasped, the adventure in the comics and stuff. Now I get kind of heavy, and I love comics and all that stuff like that, so I'm not apologizing for this, but I got tagged for this video by Hippie's Collectible, who was tagged by Loki Goblin about what comic are you most thankful for, and I went for a drive. Got me some pizza, and thought about what book would I put in this video, and well, I'm going to show you 3 books I read on the rainy day like this. Look how gloomy this is and stuff like that. Imagine being a kid and seeing all these colors. But I read 3 books that day, man. I got into the stacks of comics, and I wanted big thick books, man, because I knew it was going to rain all day long. So these 3 books to me are actually one, just little cheap say it's a trade paperback. Here's the original, the actual book that I read. Okay, it was by all kinds of people, man. Lynn Wynn, Roger Stern wrote it. Sal Buscema, Klaus Janson did it. It's got the Guardians of the Galaxy. It was Thor. It had a nuclear bomb. It was set in the future. Thor stranded in space. The Guardians of the Galaxy find him like the Avengers found Captain America in the ocean, frozen. Thor was frozen in space. And Star Wars had hit because it's just full of aliens and just all kinds of great sci-fi stuff. And of course, and it had Starhawk, man, the loner of the group, and it had Yondu, who had like the special arrows that he controlled through his whistles because it was made of a metal from his home planet, and he was the last of his race. And I started finding out they were all the last of their race. Just great stuff. And I was thankful to be able to find a mint copy of it. Thor Annual number 6. Alright, and then this one. This is pretty much almost the same shape, except it's now yellow than when I first read it. It's got Molecule Man, not how I remembered it. I'd flipped through those Silver Age books of my dad's, my stepdad's. I knew who the Molecule Man was. He was Owen Reese, man, little wimpy guy with brown hair. This guy was bald and muscular and had this rod all of a sudden, and he's fighting Iron Man. There's this thing called the Man Thing. And Steve Gerber and Sal Buscema and Jack Abel did this. Doing this video, I'm starting to realize, Sal Buscema apparently was just the shit there for a while. But it was set in a swamp. It wasn't in New York or anything. And there's 3 little kids playing in a swamp. They're playing superheroes and they're on their bikes. One little girl, pretty much everybody in town thought she drowned. An alligator came chasing her and stuff, and she went under the water. She comes up out of the water, has the rod, and she's possessed by the Molecule Man. And it was really just unnerving in a way. I mean, I was fascinated, but it's like she had female features and she had boobs, but she had man shoulders and man arms and stuff. Steve Gerber didn't write comic book stories; he wrote comic trips. I was able to actually finally find this a couple years ago. Iron Man Annual number 3 with a cover. And in phenomenal shape. Man Thing right from the get-go. And then there's another story I got, and it was actually this book disappeared. I don't know what happened to it, but this is where I finally learned that sometimes when you read comics and you say the plots out loud, they sound ridiculous, but when you read the actual story, it's awesome. For years I was trying to ask people about this story. It was, Super Baby, and he found a 4-armed gorilla alien that he dug a pit out, and Pa Kent was trying to talk to him, and he was finding metal and making steel walls for him. Thought he was taking care of him. He went around the world to the jungles and stuff and brought him back fruit to eat and everything like that, and he finally let him go. Nobody remembered the story or anything, and thanks to the internet and I constantly asked people who were older than I was, that were into comics there for a long time, had they ever heard of this story. So, you know, they didn't. They just all looked at me like I had a man thing coming out of my mouth or something. Well, thanks to the internet, I finally found it. It was Superman Family 182. And this is where the Superman Family had changed their format and went to a dollar book. This was the first of the dollar books. And it's got this story in it. And it's amazing. It's got Tales of Krypton in it, Supergirl in it, Lex Luthor in it, all these great stories. I think it's even got a crypto story in it, if I remember right. But what did I remember? The Adventures of Super Baby. And it wasn't a four-armed gorilla, it was a four-handed gorilla. So not only am I thankful to have these books, I'm thankful that on that day, these 3 books were what I read that got me. Okay? So, I'm supposed to tag 2 people, so I'm going to tag 2 people off the top of my head here. I think I'm going to tag Rdowdy, the great legend, and I'm going to tag Gimpy. He's right off the top of my head. Alright guys, what books are you guys most thankful that you have?